you got to find out what motivates you, and it can't be something superficial.
I chased the material things at first. You know, coming from kind of a broken home and not having much growing up, to seeing the cars and the clothes, and I listened to way too much rap music growing up. So I wanted all those things. And at first it was just chase the number. I want to make 100,000. We'll make 200,000. But it wasn't getting me there.
It's not fulfilling.
Welcome to Under the Knife, the podcast where we cut into topics such as politics, life advice, and medicine, and we do this with the precision of a licensed orthopedic surgeon. I'm your host, Dr. Craig Green, an orthopedic surgeon and elected public official.
Welcome to Under the Knife. Thanks for being on, Brian.
Thank you. It's good to be on the opposite side and not under the knife, actually.
You don't want to be under the knife. Tell us about how you started your podcast.
It was one of those things. I had an idea that I was tired of negative media. I was tired of political news shows. I got to a point where I couldn't turn on talk radio anymore, and I couldn't watch the news anymore. And so I pitched my radio show to Talk 107.3 FM. Mm-hmm. You were actually a guest on the show a couple times.
That's right.
So I told them I don't want to do politics and I don't want to do negative news. I want to do something positive. And that's when I told them, my two passions are fitness and finance. And so that was the name of the show, Financial Fitness. And I wanted health and wealth. I always said those are the two things you can never have enough of. And so that was always the focus of the show, either bringing on, leaders of the community like yourself, business coaches, people who could add value, and things I paid a lot of money for over the years. So I wanted to bring those kind of people for free on the show and then, spill my own 2 cents. And my wife says I can talk all day. So.
Or get people to talk.
Right.
Well, what I like about that is I think that positivity is a self-fulfilling prophecy. And, people that are always negative-minded, they can't get out of their own way.
Yeah.
And so how long have you been doing it?
Let's see. We had our 2-year memories pop up from your first time on the show. So it's going almost 3 years now. It's a little over 2.5 years. And I've actually switched now from the radio show. This last couple months, I've just gone to a straight podcast format, kind of like what you're doing here. I liked it. No commercial interruptions. I could be a little more unedited if I needed to. So that was nice.
So talk to us about your fitness journey. How did that start?
Fitness journey, I say I fell into it. I was in a really, really bad motorcycle accident. Guys like you actually saved my life and saved my leg back in 2000. So severe internal injury, broken femur, ruptured popliteal artery, a lot of internal bleeding, compartment syndrome. About knees, blew out both ACL, MCL. You had so full year of surgery and rebuilding my just entire body, really. I mean, when you're bedridden and learning how to walk again, I had a lot of nerve damage and stuff. So it was a long year going from a wheelchair to a walker to crutches, and then finally, getting some movement in my feet and getting a little bit of the nerves back and being able to move my legs better. So of course, I would go to physical therapy, and then I'd go to the gym twice a day and just overtrained. I actually didn't listen to my doctors.
Shocker.
I would go to the gym and do way more than they told me. And I would push myself because they also told me I would wear kind of like a leg brace that would go under my feet because I had foot drop, and I would need probably like some Forrest Gump type leg braces and stuff. And I just didn't want to believe any of that. So I would go push myself in the gym, and my best friend, unfortunately no longer with us, Mike, he'd come and he'd load the weights, unload the weights, because I couldn't do any of it myself. And man, I'd get in there and just train as much as I could, and that led to years later bodybuilding and fitness. And
don't you think overcoming something like that, the mental aspect is the start?
It's huge.
But then having the physical, overcoming something physically like that also makes you feel like you can overcome other things in life when you're ready.
Absolutely. I used to think when I was 20, when it happened, it was the worst thing that ever happened to me. And I now have flipped that, and I say it was actually probably the best thing that happened to me, because now no amount of physical pain hurts. Nothing feels that difficult. after overcoming that. So I feel that was what kind of propelled me to outwork everybody and be able to tough things out more than anybody out there. Now, I'll have a pretty severe surgery. I got to come see you soon for an MRI on my knee, actually. Yep. So, like those feel like a breeze. I'm like, oh, it's just, just tore something in my knee. No big deal. Right. Where that's actually a pretty major surgery, and it's gonna hurt. But for what I went through, it's a walk in the park now.
Well, don't you think those similar principles apply to the financial sector?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, any challenge I went through, probably the biggest challenge of my life. And I'm real transparent with people. I think people try to hide and always put up the big facade that everything's perfect and they're the Brady Bunch. I used to call my wife's family, my wife and her family, I called them the Brady Bunch when I first met them because they look perfect and they're beautiful and everything. And everyone now that I've gotten to the other side of the fence, like I grew up very poor and in some bad areas, and then I'm around all these people that they got money, and I used to think they were perfect, and I'm like, they're just as messed up. Yep. Everybody's got something.
Everybody's got scars.
Yeah. So I think what happened to me in this last year, I took a big job offer to go to a big corporation and left my company, and then the market collapsed, and they looked for a reason to hang me and fired me and about 4,000 or 5,000 other people, and I lost a couple $1 million in that, and had to reopen my company in the last 6 months. And so I had to go from riding high and at the top of my game to starting my company in the mortgage industry during this wonderful Bidenomics that we got going on right now.
How is that looking right now? I mean, are we in a recession even though interest rates are high?
I feel like we've been in a recession. I think they changed the term and the definition of recession a couple times along the way the last couple of years. And yet the mall's
still crowded.
Yeah.
Somehow people are still finding money to spend.
I don't understand. Like when I look at some of my clients that are normal, especially single income households, less than $100,000 a year with kids, it's really tough on anyone making $50,000, $60,000 a year or below to just get by with the cost of everything right now.
Well, too, the hidden tax of inflation, $50,000 is still a lot of money, but it doesn't go as far as it used to.
Not at all. My wife does most of the grocery shopping. I'll go for like Target items like meat or something. And when I actually have to do like a full-blown grocery trip, I realize how much prices have skyrocketed the last couple of years.
They're not going back down.
They never will. No. It's just like when airfare jumped up, and then even though gas got cheaper, the airfare never went back.
Yeah.
So I think we're stuck with it.
So are you back on your feet again?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we actually reopened, I'm proud to say, really reopened and relaunched Intelligent Mortgage in August, and already have a Palm Beach office now that's doing amazing down there. Milko and Ira and his team down there are doing phenomenal. We just brought on an Oklahoma team in Tulsa, Oklahoma, got our Oklahoma license. Troy and his wife out there, shout out to them. Number one real estate team. So him and his wife, kind of like my wife and I, are kind of that 1-2 combo. And they're going to, of course, run majority of all their real estate business directly through the mortgage. So we're back. The Baton Rouge office is doing well.
How'd you pick those two cities?
I didn't. They picked me. So, when you do good things and when you're good to people, it's like law of attraction. Mm-hmm. So I had been talking with a couple of the people at that Florida branch. We were at a company, U Mortgage, that I went to for a little while after Guaranteed Rate. And we saw the writing on the wall that it was, a kind of not a good setup anymore, and it wasn't the place for us. And so when I told them what I was going to do and how I had my company set up in the past and how I had my branch managers set up with just a sweetheart deal for my branches, I just had told them what I was doing. And then about 2 months later, my phone rings. Hey, you still considering bringing on some branches? And so, it was perfect timing. Yeah. And everything is just kind of falling in place just according to plan. So,
well, you went from getting fired to now you have multiple branches in multiple cities.
Right. Yeah, what's if you took all the money from everyone, the same people would be millionaires again within a matter of 3 to 5 years. So, I've built a mortgage company twice in the past, after the mortgage collapse and after the 2016 flood here. And so you learn from your mistakes, and like we talked about with the things that knock you down and really put you to your knees, that's where you find out what you're made
stronger.
of. Yeah. Absolutely.
So what's the next challenge? Are you still building?
Building. That is I think the biggest challenge in business, and not getting complacent, always pushing. So my goal is 10 branches in 2024, minimum 50 loan originators across the country. So we're looking actively, and we're going to be going to other states too. I'm not targeting any particular area. There's good loan officers. There's a lot of good mortgage people out there that are just underpaid, or they're under supported is what I found was the biggest problem. They weren't getting the support. A lot of empty promises. Those big companies, kind of like when I went to Guarantee, they make a lot of huge promises, but then they don't deliver on it. And so the people coming to us have been just elated with our service, my attention, my hands-on approach, and what they've gotten. So it's been a really good couple of months.
When do you think interest rates will start downtick again?
We had a downtick this last month, actually. The Fed cooled off a little bit in their hawkish comments and remarks, but I don't think we're going to see a major cooling off until probably the end of next year. I think the election will play a big role. How that goes would determine how quickly they come down after the latter part of next year. I think you'll see some Fed rate cuts potentially mid-year. That's kind of the forecast.
Right.
And even though mortgage rates technically don't follow the Fed rate, it has been following it very closely this last
Thank you for my 2.65.
Yeah, exactly.
That seems like a long time ago.
I know. All right.
And interest rate timing,
Exactly. So yeah, that loan's never going away. You keep that and pay that thing off.
I know. So what about besides working out, besides fitness and finance, what other? I guess you don't do motorcycles anymore.
Not much. I'll ride a buddy of mine's once in a while. My friend that details my cars, Andrew Carter, he's got a really good high performance detail here in town. He has a couple motorcycles. And so if I drop my car off at his shop, he'll let me take one of the bikes. So I get my fix. I just get a little afternoon spin in, and then I go put it back and pick my car up.
Dangerous, man. We only see the numerator, but they're bad. They're bad when we see them.
They're good for your business, but they're bad for everything else.
I know. One of my partners is a trauma surgeon, and he races them.
Yeah.
And we're always joking, like we're one pebble away from being a trauma surgeon down.
Yeah. What's funny, though, I used to ride, and I don't ride on the street much, but I got into the racing. And being on the track, it's so much safer.
Really?
That's the irony. People thought I was nuts. After my wreck, about 5 years later, I got into racing. And I said, it's much faster and much safer. I said, so I get my adrenaline fix, and I'm not near the risk. I had one wreck on the street and almost died. I had one wreck at similar speed on the racetrack, and I slid 100 feet. Got up, dusted off, picked the bike up, got back on.
And that's crazy.
That's the difference when you're in full Kevlar gear. And, the whole thing from an accident, it's the sudden stop of inertia. That's usually where the trauma happens. When you have an infinite amount of grass and, room to run off on the side of the track.
A little bit of cushion.
You have, exactly. So.
Well, you're braver than me, man. I can't do that. I've seen, like I said, I don't know the denominator, but I've seen the numerator.
Yeah, no.
It scares me.
Yeah, no, but I'm done. I don't think I'll own another bike. I wouldn't let my kids have one.
Yeah. What do you think some factors are about greatness?
To become great?
Yeah.
I think a lot of great men come from great adversity, challenges. You don't see, unfortunately, what do they say? The son of a great man usually has a hard time. So it's usually that person that's had some kind of challenge, or they've had some kind of calling or a really strong why, something that drove them. And I think they have a bigger purpose than just themselves. You have to have something greater than just you, because that's not going to lead you to greatness.
That's 100%.
So you really got to have a deeper why. I think that's, and a big one, to where it's driving you to be bigger than yourself.
I also think it's not a destination.
No,
I think
it's
greatness
endless.
is a journey.
Yeah,
And it's got bumps. And
big ones.
And you limp. And you limp with people.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's a state of mind more than an arrival destination.
Absolutely.
Speaking of, have you heard of the book Getting to Why?
No,
I think that brings up a good point. Is you got to find out what motivates you, and it can't be something superficial.
Yeah.
Cars, watching, whatever. It's got to be purpose.
Yep. Yeah. I chased the material things at first.
Mm-hmm.
You know, coming from kind of a broken home and not having much growing up to seeing the cars and the clothes, and I listened to way too much rap music growing up. So I wanted all those things. And it was always, at first it was just chase the number. I want to make 100,000. We'll make 200,000. But it wasn't getting me there.
It's not fulfilling.
It's not fulfilling. And you can get to 100, 200,000, but to get to really build a great company and have great people around you and have people that believe, like a culture that is positive, there's got to be a deeper purpose, and they've got to want to follow that and believe in that vision. So I think that's what shifted
Right.
after the first few years. It was
Well, it sure seems like you've found your purpose, your why, your success. So you just keep grinding now, huh?
Just grind. That's people ask, well, y'all had a good month last month. Y'all were busy, and I said, we're gonna have a really good fourth quarter, and it's a matter of what we did the first, second, third quarter of this year. Yeah, it was funny. You find out who's trying to take you down, and dealing with that guaranteed rate issue and all of that stuff. You see behind the curtain, and people are really, like, business is war, and people are trying to take you down. And instead, while everyone was out there complaining about the market, complaining about high interest rates, complaining about inventory, I was just in I was in what did Dr. Dre say? I was in the lab with a pen and a pad. So that's it. I was behind the curtain just grinding 7 days a week. We've been working. And so the fourth quarter, having a great fourth quarter, was a result of January through August, really putting in the work and to get to this point.
Well, look, thanks for being on Under the Knife.
Yeah.
Congrats on your success, and press on, and we'll do it again sometime soon.
Absolutely. I'd love to.
Brandon, how do people follow you or get in touch with you?
Yeah, social media is easy to find me. Brandon Abidin. That's Abidin. Facebook, Instagram, and then Intelligent Mortgage online. It's real easy. It's im.loans. So that's our website.
Perfect.
Yes, sir.
Well, thanks for being on, man. Appreciate it.
Always look forward to it. I'll see you soon.
All right.
Thank you for joining us today, and a big thank you to all of our listeners for tuning in to this surgical exploration of politics, healthcare, and life. I've been your host, Dr. Craig Green. Remember to stay informed, stay sharp, and join us next time to see which of life's topics we'll dissect under the knife.